She was seconds from walking away forever. Then a stranger caught the trembling note in her voice, and everything she thought she knew about love was about to shatter. Hi, my beautiful family. I have missed you all. Thank you so for sticking around with me. I truly appreciate your love and support. If you're already hooked in for today's story and ready to enjoy it, click subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from, because tomorrow I will be giving you another story just as interesting as this one. And you don't want to miss it. Now let us begin. Danielle Brooks stood outside the entrance of the Saffron Ridge Art Walk, clutching the edges of her denim jacket like armor. The breeze rolled through Napa's spring vineyards, carrying hints of lavender and fresh-cut grass, but she barely noticed. Her breathing hitched as she studied the vendor map for the 10th time, trying to decide if walking in was courage or foolishness. Her cousin's words still scratched at her. Girl, you're brave. Most folks your size wouldn't put their work on display. Danielle had laughed it off then. Now, standing here with her canvases wrapped in brown paper under her arm, the laugh felt miles away. A shadow stretched beside her. Are you waiting to be admitted by royalty, or is the map actually interesting? A warm baritone asked. She turned, already preparing to shrink into herself. But the man standing there wasn't smirking. He wasn't scanning her body. He was simply waiting, holding a to-go cup and a folded brochure. He looked around his late 30s, sandy brown hair slightly wind-tossed, dressed in a simple Henley and dark jeans. Nothing flashy. Except for the watch, discreet but expensive. And the way people parted around him, offering nods of recognition. I'm, deciding if I should go in, Danielle said, clearing her throat. Beautiful morning for indecision, he said with a corner smile. I'm Julian. Of course he had an effortlessly confident name. She introduced herself softly, shifting her canvases to her other arm. He noticed. Those look heavy. Want a hand? She straightened, fast. I'm good. Just thinking. His eyes held curiosity, not pity. He didn't push. Well, he said, nodding toward the courtyard. If you're showing your work today, I might need you to go in. I'm scouting for pieces for a new tasting room. She blinked. You're buying. Hopefully. He sipped his coffee. If I don't get distracted trying to figure out why you look like you're about to run. Her cheeks warmed. I'm not running. He glanced at her right foot, angled toward the parking lot. Sure. The teasing wasn't cruel. Just gently observant. And it disarmed her in a way that startled her. They walked toward the archway, foot traffic buzzing around them. Danielle lowered her voice. I'm not sure my work fits in with everything here. Why not? She hesitated. She could have lied. Said she wasn't prepared. Said she didn't have enough pieces. But the truth slipped out. Bare, fragile. People look at me and assume things. It's easier to hide behind the art sometimes. Julian slowed, studying her, not like an appraiser sizing up a painting, but like someone carefully reading a handwritten note. Maybe, he said, but hiding rarely makes good art. Her throat tightened. Inside the courtyard, vendors were setting up, ceramics clinking, canvas tents snapping in the wind. Danielle swallowed, trying to steady her hands as she found her booth. Julian helped her open the table legs, then stepped back without crowding her. When she unwrapped the first canvas, a quiet exhale left him. The piece was bold, a plus-size black woman standing in front of a cracked mirror, her reflection glowing like sunlight. You painted this? He asked. Yeah. She's beautiful. Danielle's fingers froze on the edge of the frame. The words hit deeper than he probably realized. You say that like it's fact, she murmured. Isn't it? He tilted his head, eyes warm. Strength doesn't lie. Her chest tightened, an ache, familiar but kinder this time. A couple walked by, pausing at another booth. Julian shifted as if remembering something. I should leave you to set up, he said. But I'll circle back once the judging starts. You don't have to. I want to. His smile touched his eyes. Oh, and Danielle? Yeah. Don't shrink. Your work doesn't He walked off before she could respond, weaving through tents as if he belonged everywhere. She watched him go, heart thrumming too fast. She wasn't used to being seen. Not like that. Not without being measured. Not without being dismissed. And definitely not without someone suggesting she shouldn't shrink. A small, trembling smile broke across her lips. Maybe today would be different. Do you think Danielle should trust Julian's words, or keep her guard up a little longer? Tell me in the comments what you'd do in her shoes. Julian Cade stood near a booth selling handmade pottery, pretending to study a vase he'd already bought last year. He wasn't fooling anyone, least of all himself. His eyes kept drifting back to Danielle's space across the courtyard, drawn by something he couldn't yet name. She was arranging her canvases with a kind of careful hope, like each piece was a small confession she wasn't sure the world deserved to hear. And every so often, when she thought no one was looking, her shoulders dipped, and she pressed her palms against her thighs as if steadying herself. Julian knew that gesture. He'd seen it in his own mother after his father died. Quiet bracing, the kind people carry alone. A volunteer announced the judging would begin in 20 minutes. Danielle's head jerked up. Her breath visibly caught. Julian felt it like a physical tug. He abandoned the pottery booth. When he reached her tent, she was smoothing the corner of her tablecloth even though it was already flat. Perfectionist? He asked gently. Anxious? She whispered before she could catch herself. He chuckled softly. Honest again. I like that. She blinked, surprised by her own vulnerability. I don't know what's wrong with me. I usually keep things to myself. Sometimes the right person makes the truth come out easier. Her eyes darted toward him, quickly, like the look itself burned. Then a pair of women stepped close, whispering as they examined Danielle's self-portrait. One of them frowned. It highlights too much, she whispered, not low enough. The other sniffed. Brave to paint herself like that. Danielle froze. Her fingers curled into her palms so tightly Julian saw her knuckles pale. She didn't turn. She didn't defend herself. She just stood there, shoulders tightening inch by inch. He swallowed the sharpness rising in his chest. He stepped closer to her, lowering his voice. They don't get it. They're not your audience. I know, she said, but her voice cracked. It's fine. It wasn't fine. Her breathing had changed, thin, shallow. She kept her eyes trained on a spot on the ground, waiting for the moment to pass like she'd done this 1,000 times. She shouldn't be used to this. Walk with me, Julian said. She shook her head. I can't leave my booth. I'll stay in sight. He motioned toward the courtyard fountain just a few steps away. 2 minutes. Promise. Something in his tone, not demanding, not rescuing, just steady, made her give a small nod. They stepped to the fountain's edge. Danielle stared at the rippling water, arms folded tight across her body. I shouldn't let stuff like that bother me, she whispered. Why not? Julian asked. Cruelty hurts. Even when you expect it. Her eyes lifted slowly, cautious, like she was checking if he meant it. I paint women like me, she said. Women people overlook, or judge, or try to resize in their heads. But when I hear comments like that, it makes me wonder if maybe it really is too much. Too loud. Too me. Julian's jaw tightened, not at her but for her. You're not too much, he said quietly. You're honest. And honest things make people uncomfortable. She looked away fast, blinking hard. He wanted to reach for her hand, but he didn't. Instead, he sat on the fountain ledge and gave her room to breathe. You know, he said, picking at a loose thread on his sleeve, I wasn't supposed to be here today. What do you mean? My team runs 3 vineyards, a boutique hotel, and 2 tasting rooms. Saturdays are normally a blur of schedules and meetings. Her eyes widened a little at the scope of his work. But I felt restless this morning, he continued. So I drove my old Mustang, my pride and joy, until the engine pushed the noise out of my head. He smiled faintly. It dropped me here. She studied him, curiosity softening her posture. You own a hotel? And some vineyards? And a few businesses connected to them. He shrugged. But none of that feels as peaceful as this. As an art walk. As talking to you. The words hit her like a warm gust she wasn't prepared for. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Someone called out from her booth. A couple hovered near her paintings, waiting. You should go, Julian murmured. She nodded and started back, but he gently touched her elbow, light, barely there. She turned. Danielle. Yeah. If anyone makes you shrink again, send them my way. I've got time today. Her laugh came out soft, shaky. Thanks. Don't thank me. You shouldn't have to do it alone. She swallowed, emotions pooling in her expression. Fear, hope, disbelief all tangled. And he realized then, this woman carried beauty like a secret she'd convinced herself didn't matter. But he'd seen it instantly. And he wasn't leaving. Have you ever had someone speak truth to you at the exact moment you felt small? Share in the comments. Your story might help someone else feel seen. The crowd thickened as the afternoon sun melted into a warm golden haze. Danielle stood behind her booth, smiling for customers, answering questions, accepting compliments with polite nods. But beneath her steady voice, her thoughts kept circling the same quiet truth. Julian had seen her break, and hadn't flinched. She was still replaying his words, "You're not too much," when she heard the familiar rumble of a classic engine. Her heart jumped. Julian returned, holding 2 chilled lemonades with the kind of careful balance usually reserved for crystal glasses. You look like you've been answering questions for 3 straight hours, he said. I have. She laughed softly. I forgot how exhausting people can be. Then I'm proud of you for surviving them. She took the lemonade, their fingers brushing for a second longer than necessary. Her pulse stumbled. Julian noticed. He didn't mention it. Instead, he nodded toward the back of the tent. Mind if I look around? I didn't get to see all the pieces earlier. She hesitated. Not because she didn't want him to, but because his opinion mattered. Too much. Too soon. Still, she nodded. Go ahead. He moved slowly, hands in his pockets, studying her canvases with an attention that made her chest tighten. He wasn't skimming. He wasn't pretending. He stood in front of each piece, letting it speak to him. A small crowd gathered on the left side of her booth, blocking her view of him. For a moment, she lost sight of where he'd gone. Then she felt him behind her. Close. Close enough that she could feel the heat of him at her back. She turned slightly, startled. I found my favorite, he said quietly, lifting a canvas she rarely showed. Her breath hitched. It was the one she painted late one night, when insecurity felt like a bruise, a woman sitting on the edge of her bed, her body soft and curved, her expression caught between fear and hope. A thin streak of sunlight glowed across her chest, like she was being invited to stand. Danielle swallowed hard. That one was never meant to be seen. Why not? It's too raw. Raw is real, he murmured. She shook her head. People want pretty, clean, inspirational. He stepped closer, close enough that she felt his warmth, but not too close to startle her. Inspirational doesn't mean polished. It means honest. And this, he ran a slow thumb over the wooden frame, is honesty. Her throat tightened. You say that like you know. I do know. His voice softened further. My father used to tell me the world chases perfection because it's terrified of authenticity. Her breath trembled. Your father sounds wise. He was. A brief, shadowed sadness crossed Julian's face. Mom says I took after him, quiet on the outside, loud in the heart. She looked up at him then, and saw it. The unspoken grief, the still healing tenderness. And something inside her eased. You're loud, she asked with a small smile. Only when something matters. The moment hung, warm and fragile. Someone approached her table, breaking the spell. Danielle stepped forward to greet them. Julian moved to the side, letting her work. He watched her with a look she didn't see, a look of respect, curiosity, and something he wasn't ready to name. A little girl tugged her mother toward the self-portrait piece. "Mama, she looks like me." Danielle's heart cracked open. She leaned down, smiling warmly. "You're beautiful, sweetheart." The girl giggled and hugged her mother's arm. Julian saw the shift in Danielle's face, the mixture of joy and longing. The way she pressed her lips together, fighting the swell of emotion. It hit him unexpectedly deep. She didn't just create art. She created recognition. Later, when the crowd thinned, he stepped back to her side. "I want to buy 2 pieces, he said. Her eyes widened. "Which ones?" "This one," he held up the raw, vulnerable canvas, "and the one with the cracked mirror." "Julian, those are my favorite pieces." Her voice turned quiet. "I don't usually sell them." "Then let me give them a home where they'll be honored." She shook her head, overwhelmed. "I can't accept that. It's not charity." "I didn't say it was." "Then what is it?" She bit her lip, looking away. "It's a lot." He nodded slowly, reading the fear beneath her words. "Okay. Then let me make it simple. I want to support your art. I want these pieces because they speak to me. But if you need time to decide, I'll wait." "No one's ever said that to me before." "Then they should've." His voice dropped. "You deserve patience." Her eyes glistened. She blinked fast. He stepped back again, giving her space. "Not pushing. Never pushing." "When the judges announce the winners," he said softly, "I'll be right here. If your hands shake, hold the lemonade cup. It's a good disguise." She laughed through a shaky breath. He smiled, slow, warm, steady. And in that second, the wind caught the tent flap, brushing her cheek with cold air. She wasn't cold. Julian was still standing close enough that she felt sheltered without being trapped. Seen without being exposed. Wanted, without being touched. And that was what scared her most. Not his kindness. Not his interest. Not his wealth. But the way her heart leaned toward him without asking permission. Have you ever felt someone notice the parts of you you're afraid to show? Tell me in the comments, what did it feel like? The courtyard fell into a hush as the head judge stepped to the small stage. Danielle felt her pulse climbing into her throat. Her hands tightened around the lemonade cup, just like Julian told her. She wasn't expecting to win anything. She only hoped not to embarrass herself. When they announced the 3rd place ribbon, she exhaled. Not her. 2nd place, another artist. Then the judge lifted a blue ribbon. And the first prize for the Spring Napa Art Walk goes to A Beat. Danielle Brooks. Her breath stopped. For a moment the crowd blurred. The only thing her eyes found was him, Julian, leaning forward from the side of her tent, smiling with an expression so proud, so quietly moved, it felt like a hand warming her ribs from the inside. She stepped to the stage, feeling like she was walking underwater. The judge shook her hand, gave her the ribbon, and complimented her boldness. But all Danielle heard was the thundering truth inside her chest. Someone like Julian saw me. And now a whole room does too. When she stepped down, Julian was waiting. He didn't clap loud. He didn't cheer or make a scene. He just said, in a voice that softened every bruise inside her, "Danielle, look at you." She looked, and immediately had to look away because the tenderness in his eyes was overwhelming. I didn't think. You deserved it," he said. "You deserve more than you let yourself believe." Her throat tightened. "Thank you for being here." He held her gaze. "I meant it. I wanted to be." The words rested between them, warm and unmistakably intimate. Customers swarmed her booth after the win, and Julian stepped back, letting her have the moment. She caught glimpses of him talking to others, helping direct people to her tent, even lifting a heavy frame for her when she couldn't reach. He did it with a quiet dignity, as if helping her felt natural, as if protecting her joy mattered. By the time the evening sun dipped behind the vineyards, the crowd thinned. Vendors began packing up. Julian walked toward her, wiping sawdust from his palms. "You look like you're about to collapse." "Because I might," she laughed wearily. "Then I have a proposition." She raised a brow. "Which is?" "Dinner. Nothing fancy, unless you want fancy. Just food. A place to sit. And someone who'll make you laugh about every odd customer you dealt with today." She hesitated. Not because she didn't want to go, but because she did. Deeply. "Julian," she said softly, "I'm not great at dating." His smile warmed. "Good. Because I'm not asking you on a date." She blinked. "You're not." "No. I'm asking you to eat something before you pass out." She laughed, tension melting enough for her heart to unclench. "Okay," she said. "That I can do." They walked side by side toward the parking lot. His Mustang glowed beneath a street lamp, deep blue with chrome accents. She paused. "This is yours. Restored it myself over 8 years. It's beautiful. So are you." He froze. She froze. His eyes widened slightly, realizing what slipped out. "I mean, your work. Your art today. The way you lit up." But Danielle heard the truth anyway. The unedited part. She felt it in her stomach, warm and fluttering. He opened the passenger door for her. She slid in, inhaling leather and the faint scent of cedar. The engine rumbled to life, low and comforting. They drove through winding roads, vineyards glowing under the last traces of daylight. The sky faded from lavender to deep blue. Julian tapped the steering wheel, thoughtful. "You know, I didn't go to many art events with my father. But when I told him I wanted to start collecting local pieces, he said, 'Find things that make your chest feel something.'" Danielle's lips curved. "And do my pieces do that?" He looked at her, longer than he should have. "They do." She turned her face toward the window, blinking fast at the tenderness rising in her chest. They reached a small hillside restaurant that overlooked the valley. Nothing extravagant, warm lights, wooden chairs, the smell of roasted garlic drifting out the door. Danielle stopped before entering. "Julian, you didn't have to bring me somewhere nice." "It's not fancy," he said. "But you're worth a view like this." She pressed a hand against her chest as if steadying it. "You say things I'm not ready to hear. Then I'll slow down." But he didn't stop looking at her like she was something he'd spent years searching for. Over dinner, they talked about family, her mama who loved gospel music, his mother who always overwatered her garden. They laughed over awkward teenage stories. They shared quiet moments where neither looked away first. And as the check arrived, Julian leaned forward, voice low, warm. "I know today was loud. But tonight, you're peaceful." She swallowed. "Why do you say things like that?" "Because they're true." Her breath trembled. His hand rested on the table, not touching hers, but close enough that she felt the heat. A different kind of silence settled between them. Soft. Magnetic. Dangerous in a beautiful way. When he drove her back to her car, she lingered by her door. "I had a good time," she murmured. "Me too." She started to turn. "Danielle." "Yeah." He stepped closer, but not enough to crowd her. "I'd like to see you again. Not as the artist I bought lemonade for. But you." Her breath wavered. "You're moving fast." "I'll match your pace," he whispered. Her heart twisted. "I don't know what pace that is yet. I'll wait." And the way he said it, the softness of it, wrapped around her like a promise she didn't know she needed. She nodded quietly. He smiled softly. They parted as if neither wanted to. Have you ever met someone who slowed down just for you? Someone who matched your pace instead of rushing you? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. Napa's evening breeze was soft as silk, carrying the scent of lavender from the hillside as Rowan walked Leora toward the vineyard overlook behind the tasting room. The sky was washed in warm gold and slow-burning peach, the kind of sunset that made the world feel like it was holding its breath. Leora wrapped her sweater tighter around her shoulders. You know, she said quietly, I didn't expect today to feel like this. Rowan glanced at her, his hands in his pockets. Good or bad? Her laugh floated out, breathless. Good. Too good. Which scares me a little. Rowan slowed, gently tugging her hand so she'd stop with him. Leora, you don't have to rush anything. Not with me. His voice wasn't pushy, wasn't eager, it was careful, warm, patient. And that patience. It undid something in her. She looked over the valley, rows of vines rolling like waves, sunlight kissing every leaf. It's been a long time since someone looked at me the way you do. He didn't deny it. Didn't joke. Didn't mask it. Then they weren't paying attention, he murmured. Her heart stuttered. She whispered, I'm not used to being seen. Rowan stepped closer, not enough to overwhelm, not enough to corner her. Just enough so she could feel the warmth of him. Leora, I see you every time you look away. Every time you doubt yourself. Every time you shrink when you should take up more space. And I hate that someone taught you to do that. She swallowed, eyes shimmering. There were a lot of someones. He nodded softly. I can't fix your past. But I can be someone who doesn't add to it. They kept walking until they reached a weathered wooden swing beneath an old oak tree. Rowan wiped the seat clean with his sleeve, a small gesture that made her smile. Thank you, she murmured. Of course. His tone was simple, direct, the type E no-nonsense acceptance she needed in this moment. She sat. The swing rocked lightly beneath her. Rowan stood beside her, hands touching the chains, his thumb brushing accidentally over her knuckles. That tiny touch sent heat through her chest. Rowan, she whispered, more breath than word. He inhaled like he'd been waiting for her to say his name like that. Yeah. I don't know what this is, she said. But it's strong. He sank down onto the swing beside her, their shoulders almost touching. His voice was gentle. I feel it too. From the moment you walked into that cafe, it was like my whole day shifted. She blinked at him, startled. You're exaggerating. I'm wealthy, he said dryly. I don't need to exaggerate to impress anyone. She burst out laughing, unexpected, sweet, unguarded. Rowan watched her like the sound alone was a reward he hadn't dared hope for. The sky deepened into early twilight. Fireflies blinked to life around them, small pulses of soft gold. Leora shifted, just slightly. Her knee brushed his. She froze. Rowan didn't. He turned, slow, intentional, his eyes lingering on her lips for half a second before returning to her eyes. Leora, he whispered, if I'm reading this wrong, tell me to stop. Her lips parted. You're not reading it wrong. Rowan exhaled like the world finally made sense. He reached up, brushing a curl from her cheek. His fingers lingered there, just long enough for her to feel cherished, not inspected. She leaned in first. Just an inch. But he closed the rest. Their lips met. Soft, searching, trembling with the kind of emotion that made a person believe the universe could rearrange itself in a single heartbeat. The kiss wasn't rushed. It wasn't hungry. It wasn't claiming. It was gentle. It was intentional. It was healing. Leora's fingers curled into his shirt, and Rowan cupped the back of her head like she was something precious, something he wanted to protect without dimming her fire. When they finally pulled apart, her forehead rested against his. Wow, she whispered. Rowan laughed softly, breath brushing her skin. Yeah, wow. She felt tears prick her eyes. Not sad. Overwhelmed. Rowan kissed the corner of her smile. You okay? I'm more than okay, she said. I just forgot what it felt like to be wanted gently. Rowan tightened his arm around her waist, pulling her close. Then let me remind you. At your pace. Every day, if you'll let me. Her eyes closed, savoring the warmth of his promise. Have you ever had a moment where one gentle touch or kiss healed something in you? Share below. Your story might help someone feel less alone. Leora woke the next morning still feeling the ghost of Rowan's kiss on her lips. Soft. Steady. Hopeful. But hope, she knew, could be fragile. She stood in her small Napa kitchen, hands wrapped around a mug of ginger tea as the morning sun streamed in. She felt light. Scared of it. But light. Then her phone buzzed. Mama. Leora hesitated before answering. She loved her mama. But mama always saw dozens of things Leora thought she hid well. Wounds, feelings, insecurities she wanted to keep buried. Hi mama, she said softly. You sound bright, mama replied. What's his name? Leora groaned. Mama. I wasn't born yesterday, mama said. When your voice goes up half a step like that, it's a man. Leora bit her lip. He's nice, ma'am. And thoughtful, ma'am. And he listens, ma'am. And he's, well, she hesitated. He's wealthy. A pause. Not judgment, concern. Baby, mama said slowly. Rich men don't scare me. But what scares me is you thinking you're not enough for one. Leora's throat tightened. I didn't say that, she whispered. You didn't have to, mama murmured. I heard it in your silence. Before Leora could answer, a knock sounded at her door. I gotta go, mama. I'll call you later. You better, mama said. And baby, let him see you. All of you. You hear. I hear. When she opened the door, Rowan stood there with 2 coffees, tousled hair, and the kind of smile that made her whole chest warm. Good morning, he said. I wasn't sure if you'd want company, but I figured showing up with caffeine increases my odds. She laughed. You're ridiculous. Yes, he agreed. But I'm your kind of ridiculous. He stepped inside, and they moved around each other with a new softness, an unspoken acknowledgement of last night's kiss. What are you doing today? Rowan asked. I have an art class I teach in town, she said. Kids mostly. His eyes lit. You teach. That's incredible. She shrugged shyly. It's not a big career move. But it. Leora, he said gently, anything that lets you pour beauty into the world is a big deal. Her breath caught. But before she could answer, her phone, still on speaker from earlier, lit up on the counter with a voice coming through. Baby, just promise me you won't fall for some man who's only chasing a fantasy. These rich men love the idea of a strong woman but not the reality. Protect your heart. Leora froze. Rowan froze too. Mama's voice kept going, not angry, not harsh, just worried. Don't let a man like that hurt you. I raised you too well for that. Leora slapped the screen off. Oh God. Rowan. I'm so, she didn't know. Mama's just. Rowan held up a hand, jaw tight, not at Mama. At what she feared. It's okay, he said softly. She's protecting you. But she thinks. Leora swallowed hard. She thinks someone like you wouldn't want someone like me. Rowan's eyes flashed with hurt. Real hurt. Is that what you think too? He asked quietly. Her breath hitched. I don't know what to think yet. He nodded once, slow, controlled, but his eyes said the truth. It stung. Not her fault. But it stung. Rowan walked to the window, running a hand through his hair. I get why she said it. I do. But Leora. He turned, voice lower, raw. I'm not here because I'm bored. I'm not here because I want some image or some fantasy. He held her gaze. I'm here because you feel like someone I've been looking for without realizing I was searching. Leora's eyes shimmered. But Rowan, she whispered, people always say that in the beginning. Before they learn everything messy about me. He stepped closer, slow, steady, but something more vulnerable hung between them now. Then let me learn the messy things, he said. Let me learn the beautiful things too. Just don't shut me out before we even start. Her heart thrummed painfully. I'm scared, she admitted. I am too, Rowan said. But I'm still here. Her voice cracked. And what if I'm not who you think? Then I'll learn who you really are, he said. But fear has long roots, and hers were shaking her from the inside. Rowan exhaled, grounding himself. I have a wine launch event this weekend, he said. It's important. I'd really like you to come. As my date. Leora's stomach twisted, hope and fear colliding. A wealthy crowd. Glamorous people. Judgmental eyes. And her. She wanted to say yes. But the words got tangled in her insecurities. Rowan, I don't know if I belong in your world. His face softened, then tightened with something like worry. Leora, please don't say that. I'm sorry, she whispered. I just need time to think. He nodded, but this time, slower. More guarded. More shaken. I'll give you time, Rowan said quietly. Just don't disappear on me. He squeezed her hand. She squeezed back. But fear was a living thing inside her. When he walked out her door, the soft click echoed far louder than it should have. And for the first time since they met, the distance between them felt real. Has fear ever made you pull back from someone you cared about? What happened afterward? Share your experience. Someone reading the comments might need to hear your truth. Napa's early morning fog hung thick over the vineyards. Leora paced her small studio, canvas brushes abandoned, heart still tangled with Rowan's invitation. The wine launch event wasn't just a party. It was a stage, a mirror, a test. A world where she might feel too small, too visible, too her. She tried to focus on painting, but every stroke faltered. Every color seemed wrong. Her mind kept drifting to Rowan. The warmth in his gaze, the gentleness of his hands, the way he had kissed her as though she was all that mattered. And now, the doubt, the fear. Her phone buzzed. Rowan, hey. Thinking about you. No pressure today, but I hope you'll come. She stared at the message, breath hitching. The text should have made her feel wanted, safe, cherished. And yet, a cold knot of anxiety settled in her chest. What if she didn't belong? What if he lost interest when the world saw her fully? What if she failed him, failed herself? Later that day, Leora ran into Evan, a fellow artist and longtime friend, at the vineyard overlook. Evan was charming, persistent, and careful. He had always admired Leora's talent, even when she doubted herself. You're worried about him, aren't you? Evan asked gently. Rowan? That guy. He's serious about you. Leora swallowed. I don't know. It's complicated. He raised an eyebrow. Complicated. Leora, he's not a fantasy. He's not some rich man to impress. He's invested in you. Every little part of you. Her chest fluttered, but anxiety clawed at her. I don't want to hurt him, she whispered. And I don't want to get hurt. Evan nodded. Fear is natural. But hiding isn't safe either. She laughed softly, bitterly. Safe doesn't get kisses like his. Evan smiled knowingly. Exactly. Rowan, meanwhile, walked the vineyards, phone in hand. Each unanswered text from Leora tugged at him, a quiet ache he couldn't ignore. He understood fear, but silence was different. Silence wasn't just hesitation. It was distance. And distance made his chest tighten in ways that wealth, control, and experience could not fix. He stopped, running a hand through his hair, whispering to the empty vines. Don't shut me out. Please, Leora. I'm here. He wanted to reach her, to pull her into the warmth of certainty they'd built together. But he knew pushing too hard could break the fragile trust forming between them. That evening, Rowan's launch event began. Crystal chandeliers glittered over polished oak floors, laughter and music floated through the air, and every corner gleamed with wealth and elegance. Guests mingled, glasses clinked, and Leora, still undecided, felt her stomach tighten. She stood in the shadows near the entrance, clutching her coat. She wanted to leave. She wanted to run. And then Rowan appeared. Dressed in crisp navy, tall, commanding, yet his eyes immediately found her. He crossed the room in long, purposeful strides, stopping just a few feet away. "Leora," he said, voice low, steady. "You came." She nodded, words caught in her throat. I wasn't sure I belonged here." "You belong wherever I am," he said firmly, taking her hand in his. The warmth of his palm grounded her. "Not because of the party. Not because of the crowd. Because you." Her eyes shimmered. She wanted to believe him, wanted to melt into that promise. And then a familiar voice whispered from behind, a wealthy socialite, friendly enough on the surface but sharp in intent. "Rowan, darling, who's this?" she asked, eyes glinting. Her gaze flicked to Leora. She froze. Every fear came rushing back, her art, her size, her insecurities. Rowan noticed. He tightened his grip, shielding her subtly with his presence. "This is Leora," he said simply. "She's important. Important." The word lingered in Leora's chest. And yet, the tension of the room, the scrutiny, the world's judgment, it pressed on her like a weight. Her first instinct. Shrink. Hide. Retreat. And Rowan felt it, the fragile line between them quivering under pressure. Later, away from the crowd, Rowan whispered, "Don't let anyone make you small tonight. Not me. Not them. Not anyone." She nodded, tears pricking, lips trembling. "I want to believe that," she said. "But it's hard." "I know," he replied, brushing her cheek softly. "That's why I'm here. And I'm not going anywhere." Her chest tightened, ache and longing warring. She wanted to trust him completely, but the fear of judgment, fear of inadequacy, fear of losing him, loomed large. And for the first time since they met, love and fear collided violently. Have you ever felt your heart pull toward someone while your fears screamed to run? How did you face it? Share in the comments. Your story might give someone courage to stay. The morning fog still lingered over the Napa Valley, soft and deceptive, as Leora wandered the vineyard paths alone. She held her phone loosely, her mind racing faster than her feet. Rowan hadn't called. Not yesterday. Not this morning. And the silence, it roared in her ears. She remembered the socialite from the event, the whispers, the glances, the judgments. Every fear she had fought to keep at bay now clawed its way forward. Her chest tightened. Every breath was uneven. She didn't want to admit it, but doubt had crept in, uninvited. Does he really see me? Or just the idea of me? Her phone buzzed. A text from Rowan. Her fingers shook as she opened it. "Rowan, we need to talk. Can you come to the vineyard office?" Her stomach dropped. Not fear of him, but fear of what she might lose if the truth came out. When she arrived, Rowan was already there, pacing, hands clenched slightly. The warm light from the sliding glass doors caught his profile, highlighting tension she had never seen on him before. "Leora," he said softly, voice tighter than usual. "Sit. Please." She obeyed, knees trembling slightly, heart hammering. He knelt beside her chair, not formally, not commanding, but level with her, like he wanted to bridge the chasm of fear she carried inside. "Something happened," he began. "Something I didn't expect." His voice faltered for a fraction of a second. "There's been a problem with the vineyard expansion. Investors are panicking. They're pressuring me to focus on business, ignore distractions. They think you're a distraction." Leora's heart stopped. "Wait, they don't understand us. They don't understand you." "I know," he said, eyes holding hers like a lifeline. But they're powerful. And I need to protect what we have. And his voice cracked just slightly. I can't lose you, Leora. But I also can't lie to you. Tears pricked her eyes. You're going to choose them over me, she whispered. No, he said sharply, the desperation cutting through the calm veneer he usually wore. I'll fight them. I'll fight everything. But I didn't want to drag you into chaos without telling you the truth. Her hands trembled. She looked at him, the man who had kissed her so gently, who had seen her when she thought no one could, who had made her feel beautiful, safe, and worthy. And now, he was vulnerable in a way that stole her breath. She closed her eyes and whispered, I'm scared, Rowan. I can't. What if I can't keep up? What if I fail you? He cupped her face, thumbs brushing her cheekbones, voice low, magnetic, trembling with intensity. Leora, you don't fail me. You can't. You're the only person I've ever met who makes me want to be better, just by existing. I love you exactly as you are. Every scar, every doubt, every little piece you hide because the world told you to. Her heart ached in a way she didn't know was possible. The fear, the longing, the overwhelming need to believe in him, swirling like wildfire in her chest. And then, almost instinctively, their foreheads touched. The silence was heavy, electric. She whispered, I love you too, even if I'm terrified. Rowan's lips found hers, soft at first, then deeper, hungrier, but never frantic. Every kiss said, I see you. I choose you. I will protect you. I will fight for you. Leora melted against him, tears streaming freely, letting herself be fully seen and fully loved for the first time in her life. The world outside, the investors, the pressure, the judgment, all faded. There was only this, breathless hearts, trembling hands, and a love that refused to bend under fear. When they finally pulled apart, Rowan rested his forehead against hers, whispering, You are my home, Leora. No matter what they say. No matter what chaos comes. She exhaled, a shaky laugh escaping through tears. Then let's promise, we face it together. No running. No hiding. I promise, he said, voice steady now, fierce and tender all at once. And Leora? I'm never letting go. And in that breathtaking moment, under the golden haze of Napa skies, the world could fall apart around them. They were unshakable. Have you ever faced a fear so big it could have ended something precious, but love held you together? How did you survive it? Share your story in the comments. Your courage might inspire someone else. The vineyard was quiet, under the shadow of a moonless night. Mist clung to the rolling hills like a whisper of doubt, and the air carried a chill that seemed to seep into Leora's bones. Inside her small Napa cottage, she sat curled on the sofa, knees drawn to her chest, staring at the faint glow of her phone. Rowan hadn't called. Not that evening. Not all night. Her chest tightened with every passing second. Every unanswered message felt like a crack widening in her heart. Had she ruined everything? The next morning, Rowan finally appeared at her door, but not with the warmth and hope she expected. His eyes were shadowed, jaw tight, and something heavier than disappointment hung between them. Rowan, she whispered, fear rising like a tide. He didn't smile. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. The room felt smaller, the air heavier. I don't know if this is going to work, he said quietly, voice breaking in a way that cut her to the core. Leora's breath caught. What do you mean? He ran a hand through his hair, pacing. The investors. The expansion. The pressure. It's more than I realized. I can't promise you that I'll always be here in the way you deserve. And his voice faltered. I don't want to hurt you. She felt her stomach drop. Every fear she had tried to bury was roaring back. Rowan, you won't hurt me, she said, voice trembling. He shook his head. I might. And if I do, I don't want to be the reason you ever doubt yourself again. The words hit like knives. Leora's chest ached, her vision blurred. For the first time, Rowan looked like a man defeated, not by business, not by challenge, but by love itself. I love you, he admitted, voice low, trembling. But I'm not sure I can protect us from everything. Not tonight. Not tomorrow. Not this world. Leora's hands shook. You're scaring me. I know, he whispered. I'm scared too. So scared I might be the one who breaks us. The distance between them widened, not in space, but in despair. And then the unthinkable happened. Leora's tears fell freely, hot and raw. I can't lose you, she gasped. I can't survive this if we break. Rowan sank onto the couch beside her, silent for a long moment. The weight of reality pressed down, every heartbeat echoing the fear that love, this fragile, breathtaking love, might not survive the world outside. They sat together, bodies almost touching, hearts screaming for connection, but words failed them. Finally, Rowan whispered, almost to himself, maybe we need time. Maybe we're not strong enough for this right now. Leora's chest shattered. Time, she repeated, voice cracking. Time? Is that your way of walking away? He flinched, guilt written across every line of his face. No. I just don't want to drag you into a storm I can't calm. But Rowan, we promised. I know, he said, voice breaking. I know. But promise or not, I can't guarantee tomorrow. And maybe tomorrow, we won't be enough for each other. Her world felt like it tilted. All the hope, all the warmth, all the trust, they were slipping like sand through her fingers. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't speak. She could only watch him, her love, her safe place, her reason to believe, and feel him start to step back, unsure if he could stay. That night, the vineyard lights burned far below, distant and unreachable. Leora sat by her window, staring at the mist-laden hills. Rowan had gone. And for the first time since he entered her life, she felt alone. Not lonely. Alone in the sense that the universe seemed cruelly quiet, and love, the very thing she had fought for, now felt impossible. Every tear, every shaky breath, every silent whisper to the night carried a truth she couldn't escape. Love sometimes comes with pain sharp enough to break your heart before it can heal it. And she knew. This was the night that would test them both. Have you ever faced a moment when love felt impossible, and your heart ached with fear of losing it? How did you survive that darkness? Share your story below. Someone reading might need your courage. The morning sun spilled gold over the rolling Napa hills, warming the vineyard that had felt so cold just the night before. Leora sat in her cottage, replaying every word, every glance, every shadow of doubt that had fallen between her and Rowan. Her heart still ached, but something inside whispered, love is worth the fight. A knock at the door shattered her thoughts. She opened it to see Rowan, carrying a small wooden crate tied with a ribbon, eyes bright with determination. Rowan, she whispered, hope trembling in her voice. He smiled, just slightly, but enough to melt away weeks of fear. Leora, I know I messed up. I let fear push me away, and I let the world's pressure make me doubt us. But I realized something last night. I can't live another moment without you. Not a single day. He stepped closer, holding out the crate. I brought something. Not just wine or business, something for us. Inside the crate were 2 small potted olive trees, their roots intertwined, a symbol of growth, resilience, and partnership. I thought, maybe we could plant them together, Rowan said softly, and let them grow like we're supposed to. Together. Leora's eyes shimmered. Tears threatened again, but this time they were different. Warm, healing, full of hope. She stepped closer, brushing a strand of hair from his face. You came back, she whispered. I never left, he said. I was scared, but my heart refused to be quiet. And I won't let fear, yours or mine, steal us. Her hands found his. Fingers intertwined, warmth spreading through them both. You mean that? She asked, voice trembling. I mean it, he said, voice steady now. Every word. Every moment. You're not just beautiful, Leora. You're my home. And I'm done letting the world tell me what I should feel. I choose you. Her breath caught. I choose you too. And just like that, the air around them felt lighter, the vineyard brighter. Rowan led her to the hillside, where he had prepared a small private terrace overlooking the vineyard. Fairy lights glimmered in the gentle evening breeze. Soft music floated from hidden speakers. 2 chairs sat beside a table adorned with olive branches, wine, and candles. This, he said, gesturing, is for us. No investors, no judgment. Just us. And the start of everything we're meant to build together. Leora's heart swelled, tears spilling freely. Rowan, this is breathtaking. He took both her hands in his, eyes locking with hers. I know it's been hard. But Leora, love isn't just the easy, beautiful moments. It's the struggle, the vulnerability, the courage to stay when the world doubts you. And I want all of it. With you. She leaned into him, chest pressed against his. I've never felt this seen, this safe, this loved. He kissed her gently, tenderly, but this time with the certainty of a man who knew exactly what he wanted. As they sat together, sipping wine and planting the olive trees under the starry Napa sky, Leora felt the heaviness of fear lift, replaced by something stronger, trust, intimacy, and the kind of love that could withstand storms. Rowan whispered against her hair. We've faced the dark. Now, let's grow together. And for the first time in weeks, Leora believed it. Love wasn't fragile. Love wasn't fleeting. Love, true love, was breathtaking, unshakable, and theirs. Have you ever had someone fight for you when you doubted yourself? How did it change your heart? Share in the comments. Your story could inspire someone to believe in love again. The early evening sun bathed the Napa Valley in a golden haze. Leora paced the terrace, brushing her fingers along the newly planted olive trees, the soft soil beneath her hands grounding her. She still couldn't believe Rowan had pulled her back from the brink. Every word, every gesture, every kiss from him had dismantled the fear she had carried for weeks. And yet, a tiny knot of doubt lingered. What if it wasn't enough? What if love alone couldn't fix what fear had tried to destroy? Her thoughts scattered as footsteps approached. She turned, heart hammering. Rowan. Not a shadow of doubt in his stride, eyes locked on hers, full of intensity, warmth, and determination. Leora, he said, voice low, magnetic. I've been waiting to see you like this. Not afraid. Not hiding. I want to see all of you, because that's exactly who I fell in love with. She swallowed, heat rising in her chest. Rowan. I'm still scared. The world. It doesn't make this easy. Then let me make it easier, he whispered. He stepped closer, brushing a curl from her cheek, his thumb lingering on her skin. Not by taking the world away from you. Not by pretending it doesn't exist. But by being here. By choosing you. Every single day. Her breath hitched. The way he spoke, steady, commanding and tender all at once, made her heart leap like it could escape her chest. She let herself collapse into him, wrapping her arms around his neck, feeling the solid strength of his embrace. I've never felt this safe, she murmured, tears pricking her eyes. I've never felt seen, Rowan. Truly seen. He held her tighter, pressing his lips to her temple. You've always been enough, Leora. I just needed you to believe it too. She pulled back slightly, searching his eyes, and in that moment, all the fear, the doubt, the heartbreak of the past weeks vanished. I do, she whispered. I believe it, because I believe in you. Rowan's lips found hers again, and this kiss, long, tender, full of heat and reassurance, felt like a promise. Not just a moment, but a lifetime of moments. Pulling back, Rowan reached into his jacket pocket and produced a small, velvet box. Leora's eyes widened. Rowan, what? He opened it to reveal a delicate ring, the band simple, elegant, the stone catching the golden sunset. I know it soon, he said, voice steady but full of emotion, but I can't wait any longer. I don't want a future where I haven't asked you to stay with me. Forever. Leora, will you marry me? Her hands flew to her mouth, tears streaming freely now. Rowan, Yes. Yes, of course. He slipped the ring onto her finger, and she felt it like a heartbeat against hers. A symbol of love that had survived doubt, fear, and darkness. He pulled her into a fierce, all-consuming hug, whispering, "I love you, Leora. I will never let anything, anyone, come between us." And she believed him. Because in that moment, in the golden light of Napa, with olive trees planted and hearts entwined, they weren't just together. They were unbreakable. Have you ever experienced a moment where love overcame fear and doubt? How did it feel to finally commit to someone fully? Share your story in the comments. Someone needs to hear that love can survive anything. The morning air in Napa was crisp, carrying the sweet scent of the vineyards and the promise of new beginnings. Leora woke to sunlight streaming through her cottage window, but her heart wasn't racing for the day ahead, it was racing for him. Rowan had promised a surprise. And though she didn't know what to expect, she trusted him fully now. Stepping onto the terrace, she saw him waiting by the olive trees they had planted together, sunlight glinting off the glass of the tiny table he had set, breakfast, soft music, and 2 glasses of sparkling wine. "Good morning," he said, voice warm and tender, eyes lighting up when he saw her. "Morning," she whispered, heart fluttering. He took her hand, lifting it to his lips. "I wanted to start today with a promise." Rowan knelt on one knee, and Leora felt the world tilt, like every breath, every heartbeat, every fear and joy they had shared had led to this single moment. "Leora," he began, his voice steady, filled with emotion, "from the moment I met you, I knew you were someone extraordinary. You've taught me to love deeply, to be vulnerable, and to believe in a future that feels brighter than anything I could have imagined alone. Every fear we faced, every shadow we overcame, it all brought us here. And I don't want a future without you in it. Will you marry me, Leora? Will you let me love you forever?" Her breath caught. Tears spilled freely down her cheeks. The words she had longed to hear, the love she had fought for, the man who had shown her her own beauty, all converged into one moment. "Yes, Rowan. Yes," she cried, her voice trembling with joy. He slipped the ring onto her finger, a perfect symbol of resilience, love, and commitment. They embraced, laughter and tears mingling, their hearts finally beating in complete harmony. Weeks later, the couple walked hand in hand through the Napa vineyards, the sun casting long, golden shadows. Their wedding had been small, intimate. Family, close friends, the olive trees they had planted together now flourishing in the vineyard. Rowan pressed a gentle kiss to Leora's temple. "You're mine," he whispered. "And you're mine," she replied, leaning into him. The vineyard was alive with laughter, warmth, and the promise of every tomorrow they would face together. Leora looked at Rowan, heart full. "We made it," she said softly. "Yes," he replied, eyes glistening. "We did. And nothing, no fear, no doubt, no obstacle, will ever take this from us." They kissed, slow and tender, surrounded by love, light, and the golden Napa horizon. In that moment, they didn't just belong to each other. They belonged to a love that had conquered fear, embraced vulnerability, and found beauty in every part of themselves. And for the first time, Leora knew completely. She was loved, entirely, and unconditionally. Have you ever found a love that made you feel fully seen and cherished? How did it change the way you see yourself? Share your story in the comments. Someone reading might find the courage to believe in love again.
Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as you can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.